Listen, for the fourth time in as many games in the Eastern Conference Finals here, Jeff, one team blitzed the other. And one of the strangest best of 7 series in recent NBA memory is somehow headed back to Miami, tied 2-2. So I want to know, what did you learn last night, dude? Because for me, it's that the Celtics can win this series with their defense and do not have to play great offensively.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, this series has completely flown off the rails. We've seen the absolute best and the absolute worst from both of these teams in this matchup. And like you said, Emerson, it's only been 4 games. Last night, once again confirmed what I felt about these two teams, which is that the talent disparity is huge. I think the Celtics are truly so much better than the Heat, yet somehow this series is tied 2-2. At this point, if Boston loses this series, it will be because they beat themselves. Obviously, there are some potential injury concerns moving forward. Will Robert Williams be able to play in the next game? Will Marcus Smart be able to suit up? Tyler Hero, how will his groin respond after getting a day to rest? But the Celtics are the better team in this matchup. I think they should be able to win 2 out of 3 games here. And you're right, their defense is just swarming Miami. They don't have to play excellent offensively. I don't think they've played great offensively throughout this entire series, but they have enough to get it done. They just have to get it done.
Dude, Chinmay, I was in that arena last night for this game, and I'm watching it, and there's about like 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and the Heat have 1 point. Like, they missed their first 14 shots. Not to mention here, Chinmay, their starting 5 combined for just 18 points last night. That's the lowest ever since this stat was started to be recorded back in the early 70s here, man. How pathetic was that performance last night? Or was it more of what the Celtics were doing?
Let's be very clear. This was an embarrassing performance for the Heat on all fronts. And there's just no excuse for that coming out like that in a game where if the Heat win this game, they go back home with a chance to close out the series. There's no excuse for Miami to come out with that type of performance. And obviously, from a betting standpoint, you can't predict a team to start 0 of 14 from the floor. And that's really going to hurt some bettors when it comes to team totals and overall totals. So the Heat were terrible in that game. But let's also not give the Celtics too much credit here. The Celtics didn't shoot the ball all that well throughout this game either. The real difference here, which I think the countdown crew at the beginning of the game talked about, was the foul calls. The Celtics got a lot of foul calls, and granted, they were being much more aggressive than the Heat in this game. And the discrepancy was the free throw line. If you go back and look, the Heat were poor from the field. The Celtics were poor from the field. The Celtics did get the rebounding edge. But other than that, it was the free throws. And Boston was just more aggressive in a game that they absolutely had to win. And that's what it comes down to for this series, is who's going to be more aggressive, who's going to play through some injuries, and who's going to ultimately take those 50-50 balls, grab those 50-50 chances, and make the key plays when they need to be made. That's what it's going to come down to in these last 3 games. The knock on Miami this year has always been that they can beat any team on any given day, but because they don't necessarily have that top-end talent, or at least what many people think isn't top-end talent, they can be beaten on any day as well. So we're going to see who can grind out these last 3 games, because I think it's going to go 7. I think we're going to get a Game 7 in Miami to decide who reaches the NBA Finals from the Eastern Conference.